last offseason, we made a significant amount of changes here with the Predators, roster. And, coming out of training camp, I think most people predicted that the Predators were not going to be a very competitive team and a team that probably wasn't going to make the playoffs. And as I said to you and as I said to our players, our only goal this year was to make the playoffs, and that is still our only goal, to make the playoffs. So when you get to this time of year at the trading deadline, there's always a lot of speculation about what a team might or might not do heading into the trade deadline. But as you know by now, we are very happy with our team, very happy with their competitiveness, the chemistry that we have on our team, the way they play for everybody. In simple terms, quoting John Hines, I love our identity with our team. So, having said that, I really, and our group was not really looking to be too disruptive to our team. And I guess the best way of saying it would probably like to reward this group for getting us to this point and let them carry the ball to go forward. Just to point out a couple of things, since I don't get that opportunity that much anymore. Just the team has been really fun to watch, I think, from my perspective, hopefully from a fan's perspective. Saros in goal has been spectacular and has been a great taking over for Pecorine. Roman Josi, Player of the Week this week in the National Hockey League, best defenseman in the league. We've got a fun team to watch, a lot of toughness on our team, some good young rookies, and Jeannot, Tolvin, and some other guys. So there's a lot to be happy about, and there's a lot to look forward to. So I didn't want to do too much to disrupt that chemistry that we have on our team, but we did feel that we needed to shore up a little bit of our depth and improve our defense. Like just recently, for example, Borowicki's been out for a while. It looks like he'll play tonight. Benning has been out for a while and is still going to continue to be out. And Matthias Ekholm is not going to play tonight. He has an illness. So that was the area that we focused on, and that's the area that we executed on. Last night, we made a trade for Jeremy Lauzon from Seattle. He's a player that we've had interest in quite a while. He started his career with Boston, and then he went to Seattle in expansion. He's 24 years of age. He's a solid player. He is an improving player, and he is a player that fits our identity exactly the way we really like to play. I believe he's right now 5th in the league in hits. He can play both sides. He's a left-handed shot, but he can play on the right side. All our reports and all of our knowledge on him is a super young man. He's would do whatever you want. Very much of a warrior type of a player. And for the second time, I'll mention, I think he fits in really good with our defense core, gives us that depth and plays to our identity. So I know we're happy with it. I know our coaching staff is happy with it, and I'm sure our players, when they get to see Jeremy play, which will be tonight in Anaheim, will be happy with that selection. It's also, I should point out, when you're doing these trade line deals, there's a big difference between rental and a player that could be signed. With Lauzon, he's a restricted free agent after this year, and I would anticipate that we will re-sign him in the offseason. Hopefully, this will be a long-term player for us and not a rental like we have done in the past before. So. A couple of other things before we get into this. We made 2 other trades. One was for Alex Biega. He's with the Toronto Marlies and has been an NHL player. Played a lot of NHL games over his career. He is another guy, but this time he's a right-handed shot versus a left-handed shot. Can play very aggressive game, hard game all the time, and again just gives us more depth. He'll be assigned to Milwaukee, but if we need him, I am very confident he could be a player that we could call up on our lineup. And one other trade, we traded Frederick Allard, defenseman, for a forward that will go to Milwaukee, Braden Burke. Before I ask for questions, and I'm assuming one of your questions might be about Filip Forsberg, we have had continual and constant dialogue with Filip and his agent. And this week we've talked a couple of times. We actually talked this morning. I met with Filip for a long time last week, about a half hour, and we went over a lot of things, not just the contract part of it, but just all things that have happened in his career here, and mostly his improvement, and had a few laughs on some of the things that he's done and some of the successes that he's had, and made sure, from my standpoint, that the fit was still really good here for him on the ice, off the ice. Loves Nashville, all those things. et cetera, et cetera. And everything, checks the box. And the one thing that we still have to do is work on the contract. But I want to make it, clear to everybody that we love having Filip as a part of our team, and we believe that Filip loves being part of our team and wants to be in Nashville. I wouldn't want anybody to think any less of our desire to retain him as a member of the Nashville Predators for the next several seasons because we haven't announced a new contract for him today. We're going to continue to work quietly with Filip and his representative towards a contract that pays him equitably while giving the organization the flexibility to build and maintain a roster to compete for the Stanley Cup. In the short term, we've all agreed to place our focuses on the task at hand, and that's going back to what I said earlier, that's solidifying a spot in the 22 playoffs and then competing for the Stanley Cup. I continue to believe, and I believe Filip feels the same way, that he will be part of the Predators for a long time. In my conversation that I had with Filip, touching on many areas, it was clear to me that just get down to the bottom line that we just haven't reached where both parties want to be on the contract. So we're going to work on that, as I said, quietly. Again, we have a good relationship with he and his representative, and we do with Filip, and we'll continue to work on that, and hopefully someday we'll surprise you with an announcement.
After the Ryan Suter's situation, how hard was it for you to trust in that process, in that decision?
Well, that brings up bad memories. So I think it's different here in terms of Filip's desire to be here, and I think with Ryan, I think the bottom line was that he felt that the grass was greener somewhere else, and I 100% do not think that that's the case with Filip. If we had reached a contract at the right number, structure, all that stuff, it would be done, and I'd love to announce that, but that's just not for today. But it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen.
You feel like the two situations are completely different?
I do. I really do. And Filip's got his right, though. He's earned that, and again, I think he's having a career season, and he's going to play hard, and we're going to play well, and I'm going to do everything we can to get it done. And I think if you ask Filip, he would say the same thing.
Characterize it, David, in terms of, did you ever get to a point where things were very close, or things still a little bit apart with Filip? Is there a way to phrase that at all?
Well, we started apart and are still apart. But, I always joke about these things, like, do you have a deal yet? I say, we're almost there. We've agreed on everything except the amount of money. I mean, and again, I don't mean to be smart, but again, there's other things involved in a contract of this size and this magnitude. But we're not that far off that we can't make a deal.
In your statement, you said that the focus is going to turn to the task at hand. Would that suggest that contract talks will be tabled until after the season, or will you continue to work on them?
I think we'll continue to work on it, but as I said, for the third time, quietly. So this is, as you know, I get asked this, and Filip gets asked this every game. So it's one of those things that respect my privacy. It's just we'll tell you when it gets done, because it doesn't serve any purpose now. He's here. There's no trade deadline. He's not being traded, anything like that. He's going to be here. So let us do our work together and talk and cheer the Preds on, and hopefully someday, like I said, we'll have an announcement that we signed Filip.
I'm sure that you got inquiries about Filip, and I know you don't want to trade him. Were there any offers that were even close to anything you would even consider?
No, the typical conversation. You talk to all 32 teams several times in the last week. So where it goes, hi, how are you doing? Did you get your guy signed? No. Oh, why not? And you talk all about that. And some teams, would you ever trade him and this and that? And we never ever seriously got into anything with that. I've told that to Filip, told that with his representative. His representative, because his hockey circle is so small, he would have known it anyway. That just never something. If I believed that we weren't going to have a really good chance of signing him, I might have explored that a little bit more. But I'm putting faith that we will be able to come up with a deal that Filip likes, and that we will live happily ever after for a lot of years.
Do you have to guard yourself at all? I know you said that this and the Suter deal are very much different, but you still have to guard yourself a little bit against, because if I remember right, there was a thought that Suter wanted to stay until he did. But you have to watch that in this country.
Yeah, I think it's a long story, and John, you were here for it. I could certainly talk to you more about it to refresh both of our memories on some of the things that took place. Again, Filip Forsberg has not agreed to a contract, so there's no certainties here. I'm doing my best to say that I really think that he wants to be here, and we want him here. And usually, when that happens, you find a way to get there. But there's no guarantees.
You've put faith in teams before and been rewarded and not been rewarded, but you put your faith in this group before the season. How rewarding for you has it been to see all of those guys step up?
Yeah, it's been good because we've had, at least in my opinion, we've had some really good years here, to the point of almost winning the Stanley Cup and all that, and now we've been playing pretty well and then trending a little bit downward. So some big decisions last year when you trade core and popular players like Ryan Ellis or Victor Arvidsson, you're going in a different direction, and turning the keys over to certain younger players that nobody had heard of before or hadn't played very much. I mean, the expectations were not there from anybody. The thoughts that we were competitive were not there for anybody. So the coaching staff has done a great job. The players have all bought into John and his coaching staff. I mean, the years that people are having, like Forsberg and Duchesne, over 30 goals each, that's fantastic. I mean, they're both going to break I guess Arvy's record of 34 goals, I would believe. So there's just so many things that you can look up to. Like Tanner Jeannot, we protected him over a couple of players that people thought we maybe shouldn't have, and that was a good decision on our group to do that. And Tanner looks like a keeper. I think you would agree with that. Saros to Pekka, that was a tough one. Even though you saw Saros play very well, I mean, did you think that Saros could play all of these games and play so well? And he looks like he's the first or second star every night that he plays, and just a lot of good stories. I mean, Mark Borowiecki and Matt Benning not get a lot of publicity, but these are kind of guys that helped John and our team forge the identity and the way that we wanted to play, the hard-nosed guys, and that's why Tanner Jeannot has been playing like that. That's why we got Jeremy Lauzon. Just we like our team, and I like watching our team. It's fun, and the effort is there. Win or lose, the effort's there every night. It's not like you go down and you're just disappointed on with somebody or something. The guys are really trying hard every night.
Can you recall a time since you've been here where all of your top players were clicking at a level that your top players are playing at right now?
That's probably in the playoffs. When we went to the Stanley Cup Finals, it seemed like a lot of things were falling into place for us. Colton Sissons was playing on our first line, gets a hat trick in a game to help win us a series against Anaheim. Things like that. But to your point, yes. I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, every year you go in there, and we went from one of the older teams to one of the younger teams in the league, and I said to the players at the beginning of the season, I mean, as I look around the room, we have no age situation where you're on the downhill. Like, why couldn't everybody have a career year? And most everybody's really improved, so it's great to see.
On Lauzon, why was it important to, as you said, get a player that you think could be here long term and fits into the way that you want to play? Why was he the guy instead of maybe a guy who just would have come in for a month and done that guy?
Well, in my world, sometimes when you just need one last piece, you're all in, and you pay your first round pick, and it's a rental. And if you don't win the cup or a couple of rounds, you have buyer's remorse, which I've done many times, and that's all part of it. And a lot of teams you can see that are ahead of us in the standings have done that this year. And I'm pretty sure at the end of the day, there's only going to be one team that wins the Stanley Cup. So that's also fun to do that. But with us, I mean, Lauzon's trade was for today, but it was also for the future. And again, 6'2", 24-year-old player, plays hard, bite, getting better all the time. At least in our opinion, and we'll know soon. And we just feel it was a good guy to pick up with a bright future. And again, when in our war room in there, we've already we do things on not only this year, but say a 3 or 4 year projection, and I can tell you that right now we have him in our projections going forward.
All your lines are bigger, and now you get bigger again. Do you feel that better suits you for the postseason?
Well, I think we're in an unbalanced schedule, and one of the things is the division. You play more divisional games than outside your division, obviously. So if you see a team like St. Louis, that's is one of the better teams in the league in our division for sure, and they're a big tough team. You see Minnesota loading up on more physical players. I mean, we're going to have to go through at least one or two of these teams. Colorado, of course, they got it all. Going to go through one or two of these teams to have any success in the playoffs. So that's partly why you do that, but it's also a little bit of our own philosophy of how we wanted to, change the dynamics or what the Nashville Predators look like, what a Predators player could be. Or I mean, you need all types of guys, but a certain way to play the game, and I've been happy with that, and I believe that's really pulled a lot of guys, as they would say, into the fight.
David, how important did you feel with Filip? How important did you feel like it was to try to get a deal done before the deadline, given that negotiations could potentially change now?
No, obviously I would love to have this done, 3 or 4 months ago, but it just didn't happen. So we're working on it. Like I say, I want to believe it's going to happen. Anything can happen, but we're good with where we are. I mean, the intention was never there to trade Filip. The intention was to get him signed. I wish we had him signed today, but we don't, and we move forward and let's make the playoffs. Let's. As I said to Phil, let's make the playoffs. Let's do something special. Maybe we celebrate something like this with the Stanley Cup in May or June. That'd be good.
Dave, when you chose to protect Tanner, among other players, there was maybe a few eyebrows raised, and maybe understandably so. I hadn't seen a lot of them. Mm-hmm. What were those discussions like that led up to the decision that you guys would put faith in a guy who kind of was at least outwardly unproven for the most part?
Well, it's. Let's talk about Järnkrok, for example, the player that we lost. I mean, that was not the guy that we would want to lose. It felt like that was going to happen if we protected the list that we did, and as it turned out, that's what happened. But you got your age, you got your upside. I had already thought and started the process of ideas of changing some players out, some more veteran players out. So if you're going to go in a direction, you got to go in that direction. You're going to carve out a philosophy, then you got to live up to that philosophy. So it was a risk. I mean, again, we certainly felt internally really good about Tanner, but we also really would not have liked to have lost Yarny if all things were equal. So it was tough decisions, but that's what we meet all the time for. That's why we go to games. That's why hopefully we know our players better than anybody else, and we make those decisions, and obviously a good decision.
David, another deadline all of a sudden has come and gone. There's 6 weeks to go. As you step back and take a look, I suppose this is your group here going forward. What do you think about the final 6 weeks?
Well, as I've said before, we're happy with the team. Been pretty happy with our team most of the year. Love the way we play. Love our chemistry, our identity. I mean, for those of you that get to go in the locker room or around the players, it's I'm not saying that, I'm not making this up, so to speak. I mean, our players genuinely get along. I mean, they're having fun with each other. They support each other, and I just right now is just a real good group. I mean, we got to get better. We're not the best team in the league. We're fighting just to make the playoffs. There's no false illusions or predictions here. I mean, I just like the way we played, and I think we're a tough out every night, and just got to keep battling away. So just like our group.
Dave, I know you're not, at least history suggests you're not super fond of no movement clauses. You've given them very few exceptions. Speculation, I mean, a guy like Filip, set franchise records, is he a guy that you would consider possibly making an exception for? I know you started having.
I think I've got to kind of draw the line in how much I would say or wouldn't say at this point. I mean, that's one of several components that enters into getting a deal done with Filip.